WhatsApp ashram feed again. The Ramakant Maharaj photo, I believe, is recent, and then these Sri Ramakant Maharaj with the decorations was a couple of weeks ago. They had for some celebration, and I'm not sure if they're reused, or I believe the Ramakant Maharaj one is current because it came up on the feed, and the date, you know, on all the WhatsApp pictures, they give the date that the picture was taken. So
yeah, beautiful. They're just,
yeah, I thought it was very beautiful.
yeah, it's so amazing. Every week it's different. You know, the different beautiful flowers. You very creative. Whoever the flower designer is.
Indeed.
I think it's probably the Almighty.
Yes. You know, the devotees, they do up the ashram just so amazingly beautifully, and it's in the most intricate detail. Like if you watch the bhajans, you'll see Ramakant Maharaj come across, and he'll take one flower and put it a little bit different place, or take this flower and put it in another little bit different place. It all is very, it's very beautiful. It's you know, spontaneous devotion in the moment, and devotion to the master in that way, and they do a beautiful job. And I remember, you know, they'll have pictures too, which I really appreciate. By the way, if you're listening, the WhatsApp feed, I really appreciate that you keep having these pictures of the ashram, because it's amazing, and I love that you share it, and I love that that devotion is being shared, and it's just amazing. And there are pictures of like devotees, they spend all night long decorating the ashram, like for Siddhameshwar Maharaj's birthday. When I was there in August and they were decorating, they spent all night long, and it's not like they hire a decorator. These are folks who are literally stringing flowers.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing, beautiful devotion, and
Yeah.
it's awesome. And it produces, of course, these beautiful pictures.
Yeah, what a nice practice to do. Yeah.
And then for the various celebrations, sometimes during the normal time, Siddhameshwar Maharaj is not like clothed or decorated in that way. He's just a regular kind of murti. But then when they have these celebrations, they have all these various little outfits and crowns and such that they decorate. So sometimes he's in blue, sometimes gold, sometimes pink. So it's very nice.
Oh, lovely. Oh. Oh, there's Keith.
Yeah, hello.
Just came in. Hello, hello.
Hi, Keith.
Hi.
Hi, Keith.
I just have one question, Keith. Is there going to be football this year?
Oh, looks like they're going to try anyway. I don't know how long it'll last.
Okay.
I think I heard that the Big Ten of colleges just dropped out of.
Oh, wow. Mhm.
So yeah, not going to be a lot. I have some recorded games.
I bet you do.
I forget who won. So
That's good.
yeah, sorry I'm always late. I'm always at my girlfriend's for a short time before I come over here. I kind of try to squeeze both things in.
Sounds good.
So we got somebody new here. It's Rebecca.
Yes, Rebecca. Hello, hello. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How about yourself?
Great.
Where are you, Rebecca?
I'm out back. I'm in Laurel, Maryland.
Oh, okay. So you're a local person.
I am. If you're near Laurel, are you?
Well, I'm in DC, so I guess it's fairly local. Compared to India, it's pretty local.
Yes, it is. Very local. It's in India.
Oh, we got Rami here. He's calling in from Bangalore. Is Bangalore?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's 4 o'clock in the 4:30 in the morning or something like that, right?
4:56
Yes, now-
according to my phone, right? Yes.
Okay.
And
Well,
also Manohar, aren't you still in India?
Yeah, I'm in India too.
Okay.
And Andrew is in Arizona, and
Arizona?
Keith is in Ohio. And Trish is also in Washington, D.C. I think you're in Arizona right now, right, Andrew?
Yes, and I'm in Arizona.
Okay.
I was thinking about this article that I saw just yesterday, I think it was. Some lady, she went to BMV, a licensed place, and she gave them a big hassle because she wouldn't wear a mask. Then she went to yesterday she went to, or the day before, she went to a exercise business with the machines and stuff, and wouldn't wear a mask, and they wouldn't let her in. She was giving them a big hard time, and she said they were taking away from her exercise time. Sounds like she's trying to set up a court case or something, but it came to my mind, it's kind of a funny phrase. Well, you don't piss in public, so I probably should wear a mask, you know. And but then I also thought about how that this applies not only to myself or to not only to others but to myself, is that self-interest, or even like, so that would be like interest and subjective interest, and even objective interest is sort of somewhat biased in a sense, and we're sort of like trained or to overlook that and not even notice that there's a inherent bias in being for a self, or against a thing, an object, for a subject or against an object. It's just it's just something that help me on the spot at the time anyway. It's not like it's going to help me all the time, but it's a concept that helped me notice what my mind is leading me into all the time, or quite often.
I was asking you last week, reciting about mantra all the time. So this week there was a deliberate practice, but after that it became little easy. So in the waking state, when the work is there, then work is being attempted. In other times, so just coming back to the mantra, you know. So it's that is somehow nice.
Absolutely. You keep the mind busy with mantra, and then you observe everything just appearing and disappearing. What Keith was just talking about preferences and all this, you have to have a local identification or a point on the map where you say, this I do not like, this I do like, this is good, this is bad. This I feel I need to protect this point on the map. And the reason that you need, the egoistic sense of protecting this point on the map is because it's illusory. And you know it's illusory. It requires a lot of building of false layers in order to maintain the illusion that I am somebody else. In remaining with your true formlessness, nothing, formlessness, thoughts come and go. There's nothing to land on. There's no place to hang your hat. There's no hook. If there's a local identification, then you have a hook. You have a hook to hang depression. You have a hook to hang worry. You have a hook to hang whatever. But if you're formless, then there's no hook to hang your hat. So depression comes, the hat is coming, whoop, falls. It doesn't affect you because you're formless. You know you're formless. As soon as you start to create a form based on the concept, I am somebody else, I was born at such and such a time, I know these things, these are the way I view, which, by the way, no matter how strong your views are, none of them, of course, are your own, because they were all given to you by someone else. They were impressions, false illusory impressions that people said, you should believe this way. And you said, okay, this is good. I believe this way. And it's not your own. No idea and no concept is yours. Nothing, all these are foreign to you. Every concept, this concept, I am a body, is foreign to you. Somebody said, oh, Rami, you're a boy, we're going to call you Rami. And Rami did good things and bad things and was punished or given reward. And therefore, this sense of a Rami started to develop and be really impressed. And like Maharaj says, after long association with the body, somebody says Rami and you say, oh, that's me. Because this name and your idea about yourself have become one. So now the mantra reverses this. It erases all these illusory layers. There's no longer this Rami, and there's no longer this person, because the person is just a bundle of memories and experiences that you've kind of thrown together that occurred to or with the body that you call my experience. And this is not true. So as this is unraveling and sort of these illusory layers are dissolving, then what's left of Rami? Well, you are there, and that's why Maharaj says, after all experience ends, there you are. After all, everything ends, there you are, because you had to be there prior to every experience. Even the experience, I exist, you were there, so that this experience of I exist could appear. But you were not there as this Rami, or as you believe yourself to be. You were there as you are, always will be, and never cannot be.
That's that insight, like you just mentioned, really hit me hard this morning. I was listening to the philosophy, the book we received about, like, I don't know, did you send it to us? I'm not sure. Just like insights of Nisargadatta Maharaj, and I listened to one on experience and then one on existence. And apparently what he's saying is that both are in consciousness, which is not, you know, it's, you know, like it's not who you are. And, you know, like I always, when I first met Ranjit, he would say, you know, you don't exist. And I said, what the heck is going on here? I don't exist. And Ranjit, he most of the time used the word knowledge rather than consciousness. But when he used the word knowledge, he meant consciousness. So basically, our real identity is prior to, you know, like prior to consciousness, prior to being, it's prior to this existence in consciousness, you might say.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just
Everything
really,
you've known, everything you've ever experienced, all your, and that's why Maharaj says, you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body. The experience of the body-based illusion occurs within the bubble of illusion, which is consciousness, just as in a dream. So the body you're using is not yours. All the experiences that this body has are not yours. All the relations that this body has are also not yours. They're within the consciousness, within the bubble of illusion. Prior to consciousness, you did not know yourself. Once this knowingness has appeared, consciousness and all the objects within consciousness are perceived, and the first perception is, I am, I exist. I exist as this body, labeled John. These are my experiences. I'm in a world, because remember we talked about the space in the room. Suddenly, this is a dead body, a lump of flesh and bones and blood. And suddenly the space in the room touches this body and sees, oh, look at all these things. Because now I'm a thing, I perceive other things. And I start to have experiences based on this concept that I'm a thing and there are other things around me. And I forget that I'm the space. Because I did not know myself as the space, I only knew myself once this perceiving point in consciousness came about, and I looked and I forgot that this is within the space, within the consciousness. I truly believe that I'm an object and there are other objects, and therefore the illusion of separation and the illusion of experience was born. We use the example of a dream at night. You use this body that you believe yourself to be, you lay down at night and you sleep. You don't know anything. You go into a deep sleep kind of state where you don't know yourself. Then suddenly the dream state happens because there's a sense of existence mixing. Suddenly I exist, and boom, an entire dream world is created within the bubble of illusion, within consciousness. And all the characters within the dream, the entire dream world is populated. And you don't know you're dreaming until you wake up and you say, oh, I had a good dream or I had a bad dream. The same consciousness that creates the dream world creates the so-called waking world. The only real waking is once all of this dream and waking state consciousness is gone, you're no longer perceiving because you no longer have a perceiving point within the bubble of illusion. You are the reality. The reality has no illusion whatsoever. The illusion is just that, an appearance for a time, comes and goes, and it has to be sustained, as we were talking about just now with Rami. In order to sustain illusion, you have to have the concept, I am an object, there are other objects, I acquire objects, there's such a thing called time, because I can watch this body aging and I say, I'm aging. Well, you're formless, you're timeless, you're spaceless, ageless. So you are not the same one that looked in the mirror when you were 3 years old and said, oh, I hope I get some facial hair or whatever. And now you're 50 years old, the same one is looking. The body is the one that's aging and going through all these things, but that formlessness that you are, that essence, is not aging, nor was it ever touched, nor has it ever experienced, nor will it die, nor was it born. Just a wrong perception. And Maharaj has corrected this. You read about it in the books, no matter what books, no matter what religion. They all basically say the same thing. Surrender all this concept of a you to a higher power. And that, then you know, okay, I'm not any of these things. All the actions that I do, I give away, so I'm not taking the ego of actions. And so that's it. And you know, you read in the books now, Maharaj has told you, you've read in the books, Maharaj has told you, now the mantra, now you investigate yourself. And this is the most beautiful thing, because you sit in meditation, like Maharaj says, you sit quietly. At first you're observing thoughts. And then you may observe other different various things. But you know automatically when you close your eyes and you're still seeing that you're not the body. The body is the world. So the world and the body are now completely gone in one split second, just by closing your eyes and still being able to see. So there's a seer that doesn't need the body and can see nothing. Because you close your eyes, you're seeing nothing. Until if you sit long enough, then you'll start to see thoughts and ideas come across the screen. And then you're watching those. So you're observing these without a body. You're still seeing. You're seeing this formlessness and these dream concepts, basically. But then the most beautiful thing is if you look at them for a long time and you remain with yourself, there'll be a gap between these two thoughts. So that means whether the mind is there or not, you are. Because when the screen is clear and the screen is blank, there's a witness of the blank that you are. You are the seeing that there's a blank screen. And you just go and remain from that state. You are not body. You are not mind. You are not thoughts. You are none of these things. You are absolutely formless. And we say formless, but formless, don't make it into a concept as what is formlessness. Because remember, you are more subtle than sky and more subtle than space.
But this subtle existence doesn't even know that it is seeing the blankness. No?
Correct. Yeah, you need a body of some sort, or at least some kind of conceptual experience of the existence, which is the first illusion. Because yes, you exist, but you don't need to know existence. As soon as you know existence, you create the concept of a knower. And then you create instantaneously with the concept of a knower, things to be known. And then do like Maharaj says, do your job, do your duties, enjoy your life. Because now nothing's touching you. You're not getting all depressed and bothered and all these sort of nonsense things. You're using the body as an instrument within the world, and you know yourself in a real sense. I'm absolutely, completely formless. And now I can enjoy this form-based existence for a time until this body is no longer able to provide the form-based existence. And then I'll no longer be experiencing existence, but I very much will be there because prior to this form-based existence, I am, I was, and always will be.
The form-based existence never really was anyway. Or
Exactly.
Never was itself.
Exactly.
Beautiful, no?
That's the key. And that's why you don't have to worry about birth and death, because the form-based existence never was. It was the same as a dream. When Keith can, just, Keith is leaving the body. Okay, no problem, because it never happened anyway. Nothing is happening. Nothing's ever happened. Therefore, be happy, happy, happy. There is no experience that should make you depressed because it's not real. It's not true. And it's not permanent. It's not like we're stuck in this form-based existence forever. So no matter how terrible the form-based existence may appear to be, it's illusion. And this one that's afraid of dying is unborn.
That's the key. No?
And don't listen to that last vestige of ego that says, oh, you mean John's life meant nothing? Nothing I've ever done? Like all the things I've done meant nothing? No. You're a dream character. So enjoy this dreaming of character, but know that you are not what you appear to be. And that's it. Just like you go to sleep tonight, you have a dream, and somebody within your dream, we talked about before, if you dreamt for a long time and you were able to dream an entire, let's say, lifetime in a dream, and a little kid went to school, had his first school experience, got, into high school, played football, did all these things, decided he wanted to go to college, studied really, really hard in college, got great grades, got a great job, married his sweetheart, started a family. You wake up, did he go to hell or heaven? And was it fair that his life ended at that moment?
It's never there. No?
Nothing. That's why, but yet here we are in this body-based existence. Enjoy. There's no trouble. What is this depression? Who's depressed and why? If you have a depression in a dream and you know it's a dream, you'll laugh at yourself. Why in the world am I depressed? I'm having a nice dream. Let's just skip and enjoy the roses. Because why am I depressed in this dream? It's a dream. I wake up, I say, oh my God, I wasted that whole time being depressed in my dream. But this entire body-based existence, nothing is happening. Nothing's going to happen. And see, when you start to put this into action, that's the next step. The first step is to overcome that hurdle of my life meant nothing. Oh, that's so tragic. I'm worth nothing. So overcome this hurdle. You say, oh, but that never happened. Now, live your life. Like Maharaj says, live like a master. Live like a formless. You are that.
But don't live as if the forms are what makes the difference, I guess.
Well, no, because they just come and go.
Yeah.
See, this mind is there to basically get you to release yourself. And right now, you'll cross the threshold, so to speak, of I'm really not body. Like I really am formless. And I start to live my daily existence like this. And that invites the attention of the invisible listener more and more and more. And you impress the reality and dissolve the concepts. See, right now we've been impressing concepts since childhood till today. And once you know yourself in a real sense, you will impress the reality.
But then you start to actually have a sense of being the selfless self, kind of like
you just know yourself in a real sense, and then you don't have to think about yourself because you are yourself. You're not trying to be yourself. You're not trying to be anything other.
It's not a matter of being or not being anymore.
Correct. You just are. And mine stops. This is I'm sure this helps a lot, because I'm sure if the mind flow kept going, you might get distracted or whatever, but mine stops. So you're no longer thinking these thoughts about this formless. You're not thinking you're formless, and you're not thinking that you're not formless. You're not thinking this is reality and this is not reality. No, you're not thinking, because there's no more mind. You're prior to mind, basically. You're formless. And the mind, like we talked about, if it produces a thought, it'll be like watching a black and white TV and you're seeing in color. And you'll be like, no, that's okay. Let this, I prefer the color here. No, thank you. Thank you, black and white TV. These thoughts, they have nothing to do with me. Who's this me that these thoughts are directed to? I'm formless. I know this. Yes.
Nisargadatta said about the mind, he said, for the person who's not awakened, or the unawakened, whatever, the mind is like it's like an elephant taking you for a ride. And he said, for the yoni, the mind is like a fly catching a ride on an elephant.
Yep.
That was good.
Indeed. And see, and that's why Maharaj all the time, he says, you have to have complete faith and trust in the master. This is the reality. So Even though you may say, oh, maybe it's reality. I'd like to try reality. No, this is the reality. Everything that you're thinking about is the false illusion. So the reality is the reality. And as you impress this, you take one step, master takes the next step, and you're living in the reality. Because it is the reality. It's not like a pipe dream, or I think we talked about before, we're not paying like $3,000 and then reading in a book, this is what will happen to you. No, this is the reality. We can all experience this because we are that. If it wasn't the reality, then you wouldn't be able to experience it like this way. You see? But you know it's the reality. You start to live the reality. And as Maharaj says, you're no longer a philosopher of reality or a reader of reality. You are living the reality. Spontaneous existence without a local identification. Other than, again, somebody says, hey, John, would you like to do XYZ? And I text back, okay, sure, that sounds good. But I don't have to sit there and say, oh, I'm formless or they're formless. And I don't have to even tell people this because it's just your own selfless self. The desire to sit there and say, oh, by the way, none of this is real and you're not real and all that, it may come spontaneously. But if you're going out and trying to find people, like your boss, you say, hey, listen, I wasn't at work Monday, but the truth is, I'm never at work. And nor are you. And that'll cause issues. So you can't do that. And there's no need to do that. Because again, then there's an I am somebody else. Remember, the illusion started with one thing. I exist. Yes, you exist, but there's no need to know you exist. And there's no need to have this knower created through the concept of I know I exist. You're prior to every experience. Birth is this concept, I am. Death is the no more of this concept, I am. And everything in between is the illusion.
And then for some reason, like you say, it likes to be worshipped. Or it loves to love itself or something.
Yes, yes. Well, there's spontaneous devotion. See, you want to be like, you can use this body as an instrument to dip into the cup, like a cup in the nectar of immortality, the absolute bliss, what the various religions call heaven or nirvana or whatever you want to call it. You can be there all the time, but you don't have to think about that. And yet you have a body. Like right now, I can sit here and kind of just feel that presence and use this body as kind of a divining rod to deeply go into that presence. Presence is who you are. You know yourself through the body. In the consciousness, there is the knowingness. However, this presence, which is like the space or sky, is everywhere in all the beings. And yet you can sit here with this body and feel that presence and just sit there and marinate in it like a ice cube in very nice warm water, and that's what the bhajans do too. The bhajans will give the vibration that pleases the spirit. It'll shake apart this pressurization of being a body. So the bhajans are nice. You sit there, you listen to the bhajans or sing the bhajans, and it's very nice. And you're constantly impressing the reality. See, like we were talking about, if you sit there and turn on the news, that's the illusion. You start to get disturbed about the news, or you start to identify, I want it to go this way. I don't like this guy. I don't like that guy. I don't like this lady. I don't like that lady. Why? In your dream tonight, you may see a bunch of different things, but nothing is happening. So remain with yourself with self. Always try to be with the reality. Be with you always. and do your job, do your duties, do what needs to be done. And enjoy your life fully, because it's here. Now you're dreaming. I think it's Nisargadatta Maharaj who says, you dream, and then within your dream, you find someone who tells you you're dreaming. And now you're dreaming.
So that's the role of Guru.
Yeah. And don't take the touch. Don't take the touch. Nothing, nothing, nothing. The entire world is projected on your spontaneous presence.
When you speak about not taking the touch, I had a strong reaction this week. It's like it just happens. An angry reaction, and at first I was just really bummed out about it, but then I realized, it was really something good, because it just shows, those layers of concepts or identities that are kind of like been built up over, a lifetime.
Yes.
When they come to the surface, that's how you identify them. You just, whoa.
Yes.
It's just, so it's good, basically.
As you get closer and closer to your selfless self, because again, you are the reality, you turn up the heat. So something that may not bother you at all, okay, good. Then there's something that does bother you, and that's when you remain with your selfless self. Mantra. Okay, I blew up at this thing. I remain with my selfless self. Always.
That pushed me back really into the mantra, actually.
Exactly.
It really did. It's like, it's urgent to do that mantra. It's just.
Exactly.
It's weird. It's urgent.
And when you start to consider your life as not, this is my life, but this is a series of opportunities for me to remain with my selfless self and to remain with mantra, to go deeper in with my selfless self, because these disturbances will stop. The more you remain, you don't look at it like tomorrow I wake up, I have a life, I have to do these things, I have to do. No, I have so many opportunities. Maybe I can sit here in meditation and I'm so completely, my mind is so silent, everything's good, but then I go out in the world and boom, okay, good. Because it's not my life. It's my opportunity to remain with my selfless self. And if I don't, and I fail a little bit, slip in the ditch, okay. I know that's the reality. And because that's the reality, I can just go right back to the reality. Okay, this thing, it seemed to upset me. I lost myself, but now I'm back with myself. And then the next time, and the next time, now I remain with myself. I remain with myself. And then as you pass through these experiences and you're completely at total peace and calm and ease, don't sit there and say, wow, I'm remaining with my selfless self a lot now. No, because then you're an I am somebody doing something. Know that this instrument is going through a series of scenes, and you, in the moment, are going deeper and deeper in your selfless self. Excuse me. No life, no troubles in life, opportunity. And opportunity. Something happens, you get a bad report in the medical, or you get a bill or some kind of thing. This is what Master said. This is the golden opportunity to know myself in a real sense right now. Because it's illusion, and it's all going to work itself out anyway within this kind of dreamlike existence. So remain with your selfless self.
Yeah, not to try to be a somebody trying to be a nobody.
Exactly. Just allow it to come and go. And if you get angry, okay, I got angry and whoop. And don't keep, like, if something happens yesterday, you get, maybe a cashier tells you, you know what? You got to be the stupidest, ugliest person I've seen today. And that upsets you. But as soon as you walk out, it's gone. Like Maharaj says, you don't drag these experiences along behind you. They're gone. Because you can't change it, right? Okay, You go to your car, you sit there, drive away, and forget it.
Well, isn't Nisargadatta was famous for throwing people out of his room, and you know he didn't just sit there saying, "Oh, I'm," you know, he reacted.
Exactly. Because it's spontaneous.
Yeah.
But you don't take the touch. Okay. And then, no, now it's fine.
Identification is the wrong, is the issue.
Exactly. Identification of, especially because I believe I'm a body, and now you're insulting this body. You're insulting me. And there has to be some response. And again, that's because I'm hanging my hat on a local identification. If I'm formless, there's no place to hang the hat. And it was Buddha who actually said, you know, this lady, Maharaj gave the example, the lady tried to irritate Buddha, and Buddha said, listen, I didn't accept. So who does it remain with? You tried to irritate me. I didn't accept this. So it remains with you. If I'm formless, how? If I truly believe I'm somebody, that's why also my actions. I do the best I can with whatever's right in front of me using this body as an instrument, and then that's it, new scene. If it turns out great, good. If it turns out not so great, okay. There's no doer, no deed. I am formless. The body is going through these various things, and then if there's some harm done, you say, oh, that wasn't very nice. Okay, sorry about that. Don't do that again. But again, knowing that it's just spontaneous in the moment. Scenes are appearing and disappearing. You're not putting in memory because there's no you there. There's no object in time to create memory and then to create an experience. I don't want to experience this, or a desire. I do want to experience this. There's no place for desires to hang because you're formless.
So you don't get into guilt and shame at all.
No, because how?
Yeah, there has to be somebody who's guilty.
Well, and again, right actions are happening spontaneously. It's not like you're going to go and burn your neighbor's house down. Because there won't be this, there's no anger, there's no nothing like this. It's very quick. Any kind of, like Maharaj says, forgive and forget, patience, tolerance, it's spontaneously within you. So you're not going to have these things. And again, the empty boat, which is a very good thing. You're laying in a boat in the middle of a lake, enjoying the sun, and a boat bangs into you. Immediately you would get up and go, and you want to give somebody a piece of your mind, how dare they hit your boat and disturb you, but you look and the boat is empty. So now who are you going to yell at? Because the boat's empty. You probably won't, unless you're like a little bit crazy and you start yelling at the empty boat, but the boat hits you, you're like, oh, this boat hit me. And the reality is, when you know yourself as formless, you know yourself in a real sense, every single person or body that you meet is an empty boat, animated by your own selfless self. Whether
Everything
in
is
that
in me.
specific experience they know or not, they may not know, and that's okay. You know.
Everything is, in me, like the stone, the chair, this person.
Exactly.
On
The
whom
space. You walk into a crowded room, and if you're an object within the room, you see other objects. But if you know yourself as the space in that room, then all objects are appearing within you. Who's there to hate? Who is there to have any kind of trouble? And you don't have to tell other people this, because they may not, in their experience, understand themselves in this way. And yet you know, that's myself.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Very good.
With Nisargadatta, like I heard, he had a very fiery temperament, and but like it just was a spontaneous thing. He wasn't identified with it at all, basically.
Exactly.
Like, who was angry?
Anger just showed up.
And then Ramana Maharshi was quite different, you know, very cool and kind of like serene. I mean, he got angry too.
There's probably some intelligence behind that anger, because I was thinking, you know,
Yeah.
some people just, they don't, like people that don't take to spirituality, or maybe they do somewhat, but you can tell they're like hung up on a certain type of spirituality. They have a certain they haven't come to the point where they see everything as fishy. Whereas I think most of us that really take a serious search, there's something fishy about reality to us, something fishy about everything that we know, and we are capable of like questioning everything. Whereas some people just they're living in denial. At some point, they're not going to. There's some things they're not going to question or something.
But remember, and Maharaj always says this too, don't worry about the people because they don't exist.
Right.
You only remain with your selfless self.
So yeah,
Because when I know myself in the real sense, I don't need to know whether you know yourself in the real sense or not. You are myself. And you may not know that. That's cool. Because in that specific body-based experience within the dream, and again, you know, because when you lay down at night and you sleep and there are people within the dream, you may be dreaming about a park and there are lovers having a picnic at the park, and there could also be a jogger at the park, and there could be a mugger at the park. They're all your own selfless self. So you can't say that one is like a mugger. Well, that's a bad guy, but he's you. So there is no, there's no kind of breaking it apart. Whenever you look, and you'll know this, whenever you start to judge from a position of something or someone, you are definitely creating an I am somebody else, and there are others. There are no others. There's only one. And even we can't say one, because just like existence, I exist, therefore a world appears. When you say one, there has to be more than one, because there's a counter of one. So there's one and me. And that's why they have the beautiful example of the monks who swim across the river, and they count, and there's only 9 monks. And they say, oh my God, we lost one of the monks in the river. This is terrible. And another guy comes by, and he counts the people, and he gives the 10th man a smack, and he says, you're the 10th man. You didn't count yourself. Because when you count yourself, then immediately there's others. So you don't even need to count yourself. And when you start to think about these people and their beliefs and these people and their beliefs, it's all within the bubble of illusion. When you know yourself in a real sense, it doesn't matter what's going on inside the dream. People can, just like some people might say, oh, you know, Christianity or whatever, I understand the presence. That presence is formless. And as Maharaj says, that presence has been labeled God, Brahman, Paramatman, Master. You can label it whatever you want. The presence isn't labeling itself because it's prior to the first word. So no words can describe the presence. It's prior to the first word. The first word came along with the body when you said, I exist. But you're prior to the first word, prior to the first thought. The first thought is, I exist. And on that thought, an entire world is created. And I'm not trying to beat on you. It's just when you start to...
Yeah, that's very, you know...
In separating and saying others believe this way, or some people aren't as spiritually inclined, or whatever.
Well, I was just using that as an example, like maybe to explain why he didn't have time for people that are certain people or something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's spontaneous action, but Maharaj very much knew he's not screaming at another person. Just like I think he talked about when he took the cigarette ashtray and banged it on the floor. It made a large bang, but it wasn't banging for anyone in particular. An object was making a noise.
And it might be to the person's benefit to be cut off like that, I guess,
That's true too.
because it makes them question, well, why am I not humble enough to be accepted or something?
Well, and even like Maharaj says, when he was speaking, and people would say, "Oh, I don't like this. I don't like." He said, "Okay, if you don't like, you can leave," because he's a real master. He's not one of those guys who wants to have like a big TV show and a huge audience and pan the audience. Look at all my followers and devotees. No, he's the real deal. The real deal doesn't want followers and doesn't want devotees. Is simply sharing the experience of the reality. That's it. And if you don't like that, if you have your own opinion, you have your own way to go, that's cool. No worries. Because once you know yourself in a real sense, there's no more concepts. There's like, even the concept of birth and death won't make sense because, okay, you're formless. So how do you be born? How do you die? What happens when somebody puts themselves in the position of I am a body and says, what happens after I die? Well, you're not a body right now. You're formless right now. You were formless prior to this body-based illusion. You'll be formless after this body-based illusion. Where will you go? There's nothing but your own self. There's nowhere to go. There's no going or coming. There's just the reality.
The real death is knowing this, everything is reality.
And deeply impressing through your daily march, knowing that every situation that seems like a problem is an opportunity to remain with my selfless self. Because the doubt will say, well, if I don't do this, what happens to me? But I impress, I am not body, I was not body, I'm not going to remain the body. And I do this with mantra, inviting the attention of the invisible listener, so that I can go through these various different scenes and I'm not impressing. I am somebody having an experience. This is a good experience. This is a bad experience. I hope this experience doesn't happen again. Or, ooh, I really want this experience to happen again. The desire, the pain and pleasure principle are not there because you're formless. Oh, and speaking of formlessness, it's 8:15.
Oh,
I just noticed.
so it is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jai Guru.
Take it easy.
Thank you.